Hi, this is Camilla Blossom, and I'm here on behalf of the Fairy Congress, the Fairy and Human Relations Congress. And I'm really excited to introduce Michael Dunning, and he's going to share a little bit about coming to the Congress and presenting for us and bringing his beautiful You Mysteries. The Fairy Congress this year, 2024, is July 18th through 22nd. And there's an immersion in the morning of the 18th, and the event starts in the evening. And then it goes through Sunday, and then Monday there's an immersion. And Michael will be talking about the immersion he's presenting, which I'm really excited to hear about for that Monday morning. So let's get started. I want to introduce Michael, and he's been part of the Congress from back in the day, and then sort of haven't seen him for a while. He's living in Massachusetts. So we're really excited to have him this year, and I hope you'll come and experience his mystery teachings. So Michael was born and raised in Scotland and now lives in rural Western Massachusetts. He's an internationally recognized speaker and teacher and founder of the You Mysteries, a mystery school based on the direct transmission of the ancient wisdom of the yew tree, a tree of eternity. He also runs a busy biodynamic cranial sacral practice and teaches that work as well as the You Mysteries in the UK and the US. He has a background in the visual arts, having graduated from Edinburgh College of Art, and as a former professional jazz musician, has toured widely with various ensembles, physical theater, and contemporary dance companies. He's a regular guest on spiritually flavored podcasts. Michael has also written for magazines such as Indie Shaman, Sacred Hoop, and a journal for contemporary shamanism. His website to learn more about him is youmysteries.com. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Camilla. It's lovely to be here. I'm looking forward to the Congress. It's been some time, as you said.
Yeah, I think it's so great you're coming to this location as well, because there's a lot of beautiful trees there, and a lot of us are really tuning more and more into the trees on that land. And so I love that you're going to bring your tree mystery wisdom and that you frequency to this land. So I'd love maybe to start. I know Jan really wanted to ask this, so I'll ask on his behalf. What have you been up to since the last Congress that you joined us? I don't know, 10, 15, whatever years ago it was. Is there anything you'd like to share, what work you've been doing?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I'm first of all, I'm excited to be coming to the new location, and I know it's been a few years there now. So I'm excited to see how you've created that, synchronized with the beings there, and how that is. I'm excited to come into that space after so many years at Scalitude, which
Yeah.
was, you know, just such a special, incredible place. So I'm very excited, and I've heard there's some old growth
Mhm.
there, the new place. I'm really excited about that as well. Plus, I like Oregon, so I'm
Yeah.
keen to come. So, um, but yeah, what have I been up to? My goodness, the last yeah, I mean, the last
Big
Congress.
question.
Yeah, I'll try. I'll keep it rather.
Okay.
I think the last Congress I think was 2019 for me. I think was the last one, but I might be foggy on that. So that's been you
Oh,
know
okay. Not as long as I thought then.
yeah, five years, I think 5 years since I've been. Um, so yeah, of course we all went through a similar situation, so that's a given, for those some of those years. But yeah, I've been busy with writing, a lot of writing, on my U memoir, which is,
Mm.
as many of the people closest to me will say, when are you going to get this thing finished? And I always say, it will be written in U time. So, it's probably 2,500 years before it's finished, but so, but it's in its third iteration now, and it's getting close to, I think I'm on the last chapter, sort of editing and rewriting that. And then I've got some pieces to tidy up So I'm hoping by the fall, I'm going to have something ready for reading, people reading. So, and then we'll take it from there. So that's been a huge project. It's
Oh,
taken
yeah.
massive project. I've also been doing a lot more work with the biodynamic craniosacral community these last few years too. So the Biodynamic Craniosacral Association of North America. So I spoke at their conference last year in the Rockies. Fantastically amazing, way up 8,000 feet, speaking up in the Rockies there. It was absolutely amazing. And through that, I've now become an approved teacher for the association, and I've been just giving some lectures, online lectures or talks on the work. So it's been quite busy. That work has been quite busy. But I've been teaching the work since 2003 or four, something like that. But it's nice to be part of their larger umbrella and to have that. So whenever I teach again, I can give students a certain kind of qualification, or they can apply for a certain
Right.
qualification that they wouldn't necessarily get otherwise. So that's been good. I've really enjoyed that. I've been playing a lot of jazz. I've been playing a lot of music. I have been back to Scotland a few times to visit the
Mhm.
youths there. That was beautiful to be able to go back after a few years hiatus and to spend time with the ancient beings in their mind. That was wonderful. So I've been back home to Scotland. That was wonderful. And I'm also planning some workshops for this year. The first time in a while, the U Mysteries is kind of back, and I'll be in Shropshire, which is right on the border between Wales and England, and
Mhm.
right at the equinox, the autumn equinox, which will be a short 2 day workshop there. And we're also planning, hopefully, a workshop in northern Spain the weekend after that. But at the moment, I have somebody in Spain who's trying to put all of that together and get that happening. So if anybody's interested, look on my website and you'll see where you can sign up for that workshop. But
Okay.
found an amazing, or should I say, my friend Marta, who lives there, found an incredible national park, the Mount Perdido National Park, where she's found all these really old yews. It's the Going by the photographs and what I felt from them. If this workshop comes off, I think it's going to be quite special. If it doesn't happen this year, can't be attached. It will happen.
Yeah.
You know,
Things are kind of flowing that way, right? There's a lot of pivoting and
you
oh,
can't
yeah.
be attached to these
Yeah.
things. So
And like you say, you time.
yeah, that's just that's the way I roll now.
I know, I agree. When you work with the ancient ones and the trees and nature, it's very different. Yeah.
It really is. It
Gotta
really.
listen, right? I love to just the idea of how you must miss those trees so much, but also that you carry that with you is my sense, like just being with you, like you're radiating that you frequency, like you're part of them. So you're with them all the time and having that opportunity for you to go there and then have people come and be with them. It's really special.
Thank you. I think that's really accurate. I mean, in terms of, after spending so long healing under the U in Scotland, I feel that it's almost like there's a sort of a mantle. I feel like a sort of membrane or a sort of shape that I feel is always present, either in the slightly more in the distance or slightly more in the foreground. So it's either foregrounded or backgrounded, but it's always present. And I
Yeah.
like the fact that it breathes. There's a certain breath that it has. It becomes very amplified. It becomes much lighter, becomes more concentrated. It has its own living presence. And I think for me, always the challenge and the injunction to grow is to always to maintain as much of a transparency to the breathing of that being as possible. So, and of course, we're all human. We can't possibly maintain things. We have we have our habits and our perceptual habits. But when I can, I try to allow myself to be transparent to that kind of breathing of that being. Its mind. And I'm
Yeah.
in a great situation where my full time profession is working as a healer, so I'm able to be in that space the majority of the time, or in a musical space, or in a visual
Yeah.
art space. So from that point of view, I'm lucky that I'm living a sort of a non-ordinary type of reality in any case, you
Yeah.
know, and maintaining creativity, which to me is absolutely paramount. Um,
Yeah. It's like your soul needs that. I can tell. And
It's
also just invite people watching this um, to really tune into that energy that Michael carries, that you energy, just as we talk and as you share, like this is very present, and maybe feel into that breathing as well.
Thank you, Camilla. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And during the
it's
workshops,
medicine. Yeah.
is medicine. I'll be looking into that a little bit more, looking at the interfaces, the physiological, actually, the sort of the interfaces that we have as human beings to come into relationships with the unseen realms, which is nothing new to the people in our fields. But there's some interesting ways to work with the mind of the you that have bigger applications and that can probably help us to just refine and have a little more of a toolbox, maybe a little bit more in the toolbox. So there's some work we do with the blood mantle. There's some work we do with particular areas of how we use our perception that I'm going to bring, hopefully at the Congress, if that's what's breathing.
Yeah, exactly. They tell us when we're there. Right.
Yeah.
So
It's like the first Congress I came to, 2012, where I was with Orion and we were
mhm.
driving we were driving in the car from Seattle,
Okay.
and Orion, and I was saying to Orion, we don't have any, it's a 3 hour workshop. We were getting out the car to teach a 3 hour workshop basically. And I was saying to Orion, what are we going to talk about? He says, all right, honey. He says, all right, how he talks, it's going to be fine. Don't get stressed about it.
Yeah.
But when I got there, I felt really quite incredibly um almost a kind of painful experience when I first got to the Congress, and I wasn't sure what it was, and I realized that I had to get to that pyramidic hill, the Great Pyramid at the back of the land there, before I could really orient myself, before I could really
Yeah.
understand how to be there.
Yeah.
I had to go peripheral. I had to go to the periphery. So I think a few days, or maybe then even the next day, I took off up that to the top of that, where I had quite an experience with the shining beings that I then came back and talked about a little bit with Jan and some of the others, and even at workshops.
Hmm.
And after that, we started doing pilgrimages up there.
Oh,
So
nice. Yeah.
we'd meet at 6 o'clock in the morning, and then 35 of us would go up up to the top, and it was just amazing just to have that
Yeah.
really beautiful, special times there. So
Yeah. And I think that Congress, when I've been a presenter for a while as well, and it really asks you to align and meet and connect with the spirits there, right? And then once you have that relationship, whether it's Gratitude or the new site near Salem, Oregon, um, asking you to listen, and then that's what we teach. Because I'm always like, what am I think I'm gonna be doing? And I'm actually doing a tree thing this year too. But it's like it's often the trees just come in and want to speak through me. So it's not always what that we know. We have our areas of expertise, of course, and we'll share that. But I love that it's more organic and in the moment, right?
I couldn't agree with you more.
And
I
it's
always
funny. Oh, go ahead.
I always say to when I'm teaching, I always say, especially in the craniosacral world, I say let's let divulge or let go of divest, I should say, divest our prepared positions of the way our perception lights, the habits of our perception. We become so entrenched in our particular habits, we kind of lock ourselves down around those habits. And as teachers, we want to deliver, we want to be effective, we want to have we really, there's a big responsibility there to actually sit in
Yeah.
front of intelligent people who have their own practices, people who are very advanced with their own work. And that was something that I really took away from the Congress was these are people who are really advanced workers, and they have really evolved practices. So for me to sit here in front of people is an
Mm,
honor, but and also I have to show up. I have to be able to have the courage to be transparent to what's coming through me and not get too fixed on thinking I need to, out of insecurity or fear, I need to kind of say what I wrote down in notes. Oh my God, I haven't covered all the things I wanted to cover. Well, well, we're not going to cover those things today. And suddenly you're in another place and you have to have the courage to follow it. I think that's
Yeah,
one of the challenges of being a teacher is can you divest of
yeah.
that that sense of needing to have a structure and needing to feel you need to deliver something.
Yeah, the attachment, right? Attachment to the material, attachment to what you think is happening. Well, it
Absolutely.
seems kind of ironic now to be asking you these questions, but I will anyway.
Yeah, I've kind of scuppered that conversation.
Right, because here we are having this discussion, and then I want to know what you're teaching. So that's the caveat, right? That what will come through will, but do you want to talk a little bit? You were doing 2 workshops, so we'd like to hear a little bit, or what at the moment is coming up for that, and then an immersion on Monday. So maybe you can share a little about why the U is one of the workshops and Skaha this year. Maybe talk about those workshops first.
Yes, yes. Why the U, I think, is sort of a follow-up in a way to the online Zoom workshop we did not too long ago for the
Mhm.
Congress. And just to really, I felt the U made a probably around about now, wait a minute, I might get the years right here. It's confusing, isn't it, with all the years? 2020, early, I think March 2020, I felt the U saying, or it might have actually been a little earlier than that, saying that there was a its mind, the mind of the U was going to be moving just away, a little bit peripheral from human consciousness for a while, and that not to be concerned, but that there would be a return. And just the last little while, I felt that I felt the presence of the U still strongly, but I knew that I couldn't really bring that presence out much to the world at that time, and there was almost like a something else had to be metabolized and worked through and reformed. So I just let that happen, and then just the last maybe year or so, I felt that the voice of the U beginning to turn outward again and speak a little bit more about a new shape, a new form of how she would like to present her mysteries. So I feel that there's a kind of newness emerging in the U mysteries that I'm kind of feeling called to communicate. So I think that workshop will be a little bit
Okay.
about some of the new sensibilities, the new kind of shapes that the U is portraying, expressing, evoking, and I'll probably say not too any more. I'm going to bring some photographs
Okay.
because in the old days
This
they used
we did.
to use projector, but
Yeah.
the screen was also usually about the size of a matchbox, and you know everybody was straining to see the pictures. So I'm just going to
Yeah.
bring a few photos and
Okay.
pass them. So
You could call that one the new you.
you, yeah, welcome everybody to the new
The new
you.
you.
I
It's
mean,
not what you think.
it's never what you think.
All right. Okay.
And
Sorry
and
to
then
interrupt.
no, no, you can interrupt as much as you want. And then the other workshop would be Skaha the Seer, and the reason I wanted to just to use Skaha as a kind of fulcrum is that Skaha, there's this mysterious seer based in Alba, Scotland, who lives in a yew tree, and she has a family in this mythological way, as we see, and she is she tutors Cuchulainn in the arts of war, the great hero, the great Irish hero, who's really descended from the Tuatha Dé Danann. And you see that in all of these great sort of hero figures in the Irish tales, that they're all descendants in some level to Tuatha Dé Danann. So he knows he has to go to Alba, Scotland, to learn the arts of war with Skaha. But as we know, these are all codified tales, and that actually what I want to look at with this a little bit is what was that story? What is that story about really?
Yeah.
And what might it mean for us? Even beyond the notion of the you, but what is it? What does her role mean for us? And what I think for me, it's a fulcrum to move into um, a way of talking about consciousness, a way of talking about healing, um, a way of talking about the voice of nature and also the shining beings. So I think that will be the content.
Yeah, I love that to yeah, have that experience of what it really does mean, maybe for each person too, it sounds like. And because sometimes those tales go through a lot of people and traditions, and does that really mean something, or how does it mean something for us? Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. And I think the more I've studied, having an experience, I mean, the experience I had with the U was quite dramatic and quite extreme. And an experience certainly before coming to the U and then being at the U for all those years was quite an extreme experience. And from there, one starts to look what, how do I interpret that? How do I understand it? How do I stabilize my perception around those experiences? And so from there, looking into mythology, which I hadn't really been interested before, partially maybe as an art student, but not really in any strong way. And seeing, I mean, one has to be careful before I say this. One has to be careful that one doesn't find what one's looking for, and oh look, but it's the you again. It's the you again. But when I would cross reference and talk to others in a small community that is in existence around the you, I began to realize that a lot of the mythology, it mentions the you directly or implies it in Ireland and especially in Wales. So I started to see parts of my experiences being reflected back to me. And that was a very interesting experience. So the mythology became quite interesting to look at.
Mhm.
And maybe moving on from that um, to the immersions, that
Yeah.
sound
Yeah. So she consciousness and human
embodied.
embodiment.
Yeah, she consciousness and human embodiment. And again, I feel like, I don't know, whenever I come to the Congress, it feels like there's a sort of a shape to the workshops that sort of follows. It moves, and one workshop permeates the other, so to speak. So I feel with the she consciousness and human embodiment, there's something for a while I suppose in many different ways been trying to communicate, uh, and have been communicating, but it keeps changing, which is great. Something keeps evolving, really about the experience of healing itself, that certainly that I had at the U, but what kinds of parameters it followed. And one of the things I understood eventually from my own experience of all those years healing was that the shape of that healing, the gestures, I would say, the parameters of that healing were following laws that were almost an analog of embryological development. There was something about my healing following the pattern of coming into carnation and coming into being as an embryo. And it was a fascinating. I looked in the shamanic books, I looked in all these other things for help, and I found nothing that was really that useful. But it was only when I started studying embryology in a very big way that I realized, wait a second, there's a language here of spirit entering matter. There's a language here of surfaces. There's a language here of liminal spaces. There's a language here of threshold that is telling me something about my own healing. So what I'd like to do with this workshop a little bit, and I've certainly been down this path before, is to look a little bit about at who we are as an embodied human being, who we might become in the future as an embodied being. How do we get there, perhaps? And what kinds of sensory surfaces, what kind of embodied surfaces and embodied shapes in us are the closest to the embodiment, if you can call it that, of the she, the embodiment of the shining beings. Because one of the messages I got from those beings was that there is a kind of embodiment, but there's a quality of resistance in the she beings that resists the impulses that led us to becoming incarnate as in this particular way. So there's a principle there that actually is consistent from the threshold of the spirit world into incarnate space, into the dimensions of matter, and into the discarding of that matter at death. There's a principle there there's actually one gesture that moves through all of that, and it's that I want to really talk about.
Mhm.
Is that for us as embodied beings, where are the spaces, where are the liminal edges where we can actually find the sensory surfaces to be able to communicate more effectively with the shining beings, because there are principles there. There is a shape to their consciousness, and I'm looking for that shape. So I'll say
Okay.
no more.
Okay. I'm excited about that. So I want to thank you so much for spending time with us and sharing more about what you'll be up to at the Fairy Congress, and invite those that haven't signed up to join us for that weekend of July 18th through 22nd. And you can find more at the Fairy Congress website, probably description below, or fairycongress.com. All right. Have a beautiful day. Thank you again, Michael.
Thanks a lot, Camilla. Please, everybody, come along, have some fun with us.